It's time for business now with Madison Reedy. Hi, Madison.
Hello.
This is really interesting. The Reserve Bank is enforcing an independent review of the country's largest bank, ANZ. So does it have anything to do with the recent publicity around the boss there, David Hisco?
I think anything to do with ANZ this week has something related to David Hisco abruptly leaving. In fact, this time last Monday, that happened actually. So the Reserve Bank has asked ANZ to produce two reports to be reviewed by a third party, which hasn't been named yet. Now, that's to ensure that it's being run carefully, prudently, and in line with the Reserve Bank's regulations. Now, the first report is over compliance with capital requirements. Now, if you remember last month, the Reserve Bank quite openly named and shamed, the official word is censured, ANZ over failing to use approved internal models to calculate its risk, to calculate the amount of reserve capital that it has to hold as essentially a safety net for its loan book. Now, that forced ANZ to increase its capital requirements by $277 million to a total of $760 million. So there was quite a financial repercussion there. The second report is in regards to management. So this is possibly where David Hisco comes in. So specifically what the Reserve Bank is asking them to detail in this report is the effectiveness of ANZ's director attestation process. Fancy word, but essentially that's the checks that the ANZ board has to do, the sign-off process for those capital requirement calculations. Now, ANZ obviously failed in doing that. Sir John Key, who is the chairman of ANZ, has said that they did fail to do that. But if you can also
said
remember,
it was a junior staffer. He said it was a junior staffer.
So, and that was actually despite the Reserve Bank saying, actually directly blaming the ANZ board for that failing there. And also in regards to David Hisco, this is obviously the background of ANZ over the past week. We're not sure if this particular report about management will detail David Hisco's departure and its processes around that, but it will look at our internal governance and risk management. Now, ANZ says that it welcomes this independent review by the Reserve Bank, but this is quite a hard line that the Reserve Bank's taking here. The power that it has to enforce this independent review of ANZ, it used what's called Section 95 within the Reserve Bank of New Zealand Act. Now, that actually does come with, if ANZ doesn't comply, I'm sure it will, but if any bank that is whipped with this particular section, if it doesn't comply, it could come with a fine of up to $2 million. So pretty heavy-handed, that section. The last time the Reserve Bank used this was on Westpac in late 2017 when they were censured for pretty much the exact same thing that ANZ has been censured for this year. Now, I think that the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Misconduct of Banking in Australia and the similar follow-up review that we had into conduct and culture in New Zealand, both of those have really just upped the ante that regulators on both sides of the Tasman are having to take against banks, and obviously ANZ, our largest one here, is Australian owned. Now, we actually had an update on that culture and conduct review this afternoon too. Now, we found out that all banks have actually now promised to scrap sales incentives for frontline staff and their managers. Now, that was the result of that conduct and culture review that was done in conjunction with the FMA and the Reserve Bank. Now, speaking to the FMA this afternoon, now they did tell us that some banks did have to be persuaded to scrap sales incentives, but obviously they didn't name and shame there. But within that update, Adrian Orr, the governor of the Reserve Bank, he took this opportunity this afternoon to take a bit of a shot at bank executives. And I'll quote what he said here. He said, "Culture comes from the top, and boards and senior managers at our financial institutions need to be leading by example. There is a much bigger concern and question about the culture being instilled and fostered at a governance level." Adrian Orr is not one to mince his words, and he certainly didn't do that today.
Right. Hey, quickly, can you give us the numbers from the market and the dollar?
The NZX Top 50 Index closed at a new record high actually tonight. It rose 0.6%. That's a rise of 61 points to close at 10,388. The New Zealand dollar, that's buying at 66 US cents, 51.8 British pence, and 94.9 to the Australian.
Thanks, Maddie. That's Madison Reedy with our business update.